Today I will tell you a story titled One Big Family. Sheila went to Cafe Night Owl for another cup of coffee, which was her sixth cup now. It was pouring rain outside, and Sheila could feel her eyes drifting close. "Sheila Jones, latte for Miss Sheila Jones." She snapped awake and yelled, "Here!" She claimed her drink and slowly sipped it while looking out into the rain. Why was she so tired? She always slept at 9 p.m. and always woke up at 7 a.m. Exactly 10 hours. Sheila was a hard-working woman, and she was also a private detective. Since the beginning of December, she was getting loads and loads of calls about missing relatives and friends. Missing posters were plastered all over town. Sheila, however, had no family. She grew up as an orphan and no one ever claimed her. She finished her coffee and went out in the rain. She was investigating a new lead regarding the case of the missing people. Sheila was sure that they were all somehow connected. She just didn't know how and why. It could have been a group of psychopaths or a cult. There were blood marks found in the shed of the lead, and she was also a relative of one of the missing people. The suspect said they had a falling out the night her relative went missing. Soon after interrogating a few more people, Sheila went home. She slumped down on the couch and turned on the TV. After a few hours, she went to her fridge and took out a lasagna, which she heated in the microwave. She sat down on the table and noticed a piece of paper in her fruit rack. Sheila frowned and read the paper. She gasped. It was a death threat. It said,
"Dear Detective Sheila, if you do not stop investigating these missing people cases, I will dispose of you and all your colleagues and friends. I know all your addresses. You have been warned. You have until tonight to give up the cases. I will know. Love, Unknown."
Sheila called her good friend Dr. Kurt and asked if he had any extra CCTVs she could have. Dr. Kurt said yes, of course, since he was always insisting Sheila to buy one. And he had hundreds of spare CCTVs. That night, she set up 2 CCTVs on her front door and garage. That night, she waited and waited and waited. Sheila sprang awake. Her head was pounding. "Oh no!" she exclaimed. She rushed to check the CCTV footage to see if the suspect came back to her house. And she did. At first, it was quiet and peaceful. Then she saw a masked figure wearing pajamas, dragging 2 bloody sacks. The masked figure seemed like a girl. But that girl had the remote for Sheila's garage to open, and she was putting the huge sacks inside Sheila's garage. Sheila was being framed. Sheila zoomed in the garage and saw a lot more bloody sacks. One girl did all this? The masked girl closed the garage door and looked directly at the CCTV camera. The girl took off her mask and smiled, a cold, mocking smile. Sheila fell backward and her heart was pounding as she stared back at the girl who looked exactly like her. Sheila ran downstairs, tripping over herself and crying. Someone was framing her. Why does that girl look like Sheila? Sheila has never used her garage since she didn't have a car, and she didn't have a lot of old stored away things. She opened the garage door and saw the same bloody sacks she saw in the footage. Sheila had a tight knot in her stomach as she saw those sacks. She paused. and slowly she smiled, and that tight knot in her stomach vanished. She went inside the garage and closed the garage door. She unpacked her recent kills and placed them with the others. Sheila chatted animatedly to the lifeless bodies, who strangely looked like the missing people. And there were some skeletons too. Finally, she said, "I've always wanted to have one big happy family to spend Christmas with. You guys are perfect."